Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily. Remember, you can tag to me, speak to me, and follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Today, we are going to talk about the state of entertainment today. I'm also going to be reading a few articles. There's a lot to get through. And I'm going to be talking about what I think this Flash movie in production right now is going to be all about. We've discussed this before, but I'm going to go into detail how I think this film is going to play out. Anyway, let's talk about the state of entertainment today. We live in the mass of social media, of basically hearing everybody's view. It gets really loud. It gets really polarizing. But we saw what that can mean with the reaction, the polarizing reaction to Batman versus Superman, Ghostbusters 2016, The Last Jedi. This is not just the responsibility of social media and the people on social media, but the people making the movies. We now see entertainers, directors, CEOs, producers, actors on social media talking about everything but their craft, but their acting. We see Ray Fisher. When was the last time you saw Ray Fisher post on social media and talk about the delight of the art, of acting, of putting in a performance? No. All Ray Fisher wants to talk about is racism, 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 representation, accountability over entertainment, over entertainment, over entertainment, over entertainment. Do you understand? It's not about entertainment anymore. It's about these people's damn politics. And I'm deafened by this. Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry once said, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And that's right. But the thing is, when we were growing up, people in my age group, in your age group, if you're around 48 years old, we used to see our films, see our TV shows. We'd go to work or school the next day. In my case, school. It'll be, oh my God, did you see Superman the movie? Oh my God, did you watch V? Oh my God, did you watch The A-Team? Oh my God, did you watch Knots Landing, Dallas Dynasty? And we'd sit there saying how great they were. Very rarely do I remember a conversation saying, oh my God, that sucked. What happens on social media? This is the best film ever. Fast and the Furious is so cinema. Cinema has never been so cinema than Fast and the Furious. The either or generation is the one that's killing us. And it's one that's been breeded from social media. But when we look at the construct of entertainment today, and it's about hatred, it's about polarization, we see creatives being asked about their art, and all they want to talk about is the politics of their art, the messages of their art. There's always been morals and messages, right? And politics in our entertainment. But it was done in such a softer way. For example, Christopher Eccleston's Doctor kissing John Barrowman's Captain Jack Harkness. One of the things I find so educational, because I've mentioned this on this channel before, basically my parents, pretty racist, pretty homophobic. Now they loved us, they brought us up in a wonderful way to respect other people and things like that. But they also had this, I don't know what you call it, this kind of historical racism and homophobia, especially in terms of homophobia, because they grew up in an environment, in a generation where, the LGBTQ community wasn't accepted. Totally wrong. And that's how I was brought up. And these were the messages playing around in my head. So imagine me when I saw the Doctor, right? The Doctor kissing another man. But you know what? It wasn't like my parents were watching it. It wasn't like the messages they imprinted in my head. I cried. I thought it was the most beautiful moment I'd ever seen in drama, because I'd realised what happened through this character, Captain Jack Harkness, who is very alpha male, he wants to fuck everyone basically, but he falls in love with the Doctor. That's the whole thing around this, and that's the whole arc around Torchwood Season 1. He's really bitter in Torchwood Season 1 because the Doctor deserted him. Because what happens to Jack is against everything that the Doctor stands for, right? He tells Jack in The Last of the Time Lords, you make no sense. Or in that three-parter at the end of Season 3. You are everything I don't believe in. It's not his fault. It's what Rose did to him. She brought him back to life forever. But Russell has hinted that he was probably immortal already. That's interesting. I've always had a theory that Captain Jack Harkness may be a version of the Doctor or could be a Time Lord, but there's easy ways you can comment down below and expose what I'm saying, but it's my theory. Anyway, that moment is interesting because when I went back and when I saw gay kisses on soap operas and things like that, it was hard for me to accept it back then because I was younger and I had all these messages. So what I'm trying to say to you here is that entertainment can educate us. Russell T Davies educated me with Captain Jack Harkness and the kiss between Christopher Eccleston's Ninth Doctor and Captain Jack Harkness, and all of that educated me to be better, to be accepting. I shouldn't be, I hate this thing of acceptance. Who am I to accept something? It's there, right? The LGBTQ community are human beings like us. They don't need my permission, my acceptance. It should be automatic. But the thing is, we are brought up by people and we are taught things. We are taught wrong things. So many people in the entertainment industry in years gone by, including Russell T Davies, who is a gay man, by the way, taught me to be better. Because he's not just a gay man, he's a gay man who's intelligent. So instead of talking down to the audience, instead of putting people down who are homophobic, instead of meeting hatred with hatred, which is what the creatives are doing today, what Russell T Davies said, I am going to entertain you, and at the same time, I'm going to educate you, but I'm not going to attack you. I'm going to teach you to have a better attitude. And that's what Russell T Davies did in Doctor Who, especially Season 1 with the Ninth Doctor and Captain Jack Harkness. But we've gone from that now to hatred versus hatred. If you believe this, you are this. If you believe that, you are that. That's the mentality. How many times do you go up and down your Twitter timeline and see it? So this is what's happened now. We have swapped entertainment for hateful propaganda, right? Instead of doing what Russell T Davies did with Doctor Who, if The Last Jedi did it the Russell T Davies way, if Ghostbusters 2016 did it the Russell T Davies way, what is wrong with a bunch of female Ghostbusters? Nothing. Nothing. If you actually do it properly. You don't put a man as a secretary to prove a fucking point, because in the past, women have just played secretaries. I get it. But stereotypically, 30, 40, 50 years ago, women were secretaries. Now, they didn't have more official positions, more senior positions, which was wrong, and I understand that. And this is what the entertainment industry has become. It's become about revenge. It's about reducing the role of the white male lead and replacing the white male lead with people of colour, with minorities, with women, and saying, how do you like it? Now, this is disguised as representation and equality. It's not. Let's call it what it is. Revenge. 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 I go on my Netflix, right, and all I see now is content with female leads, with minority leads, right? They have reduced the role of the white male. So it's not equality, it's revenge. They want to hurt us like we hurt them, in a way. If you call me a white male, I don't know. I'm a Greek Cypriot, I'm a continental, but whatever, right? So I started off my life being taught the wrong things. But through television, through entertainment, through media, I was educated to be better. What a beautiful thing. And media should always do it. But it was done in such an intelligent way. And it wasn't hatred versus hatred. And this is what we've got in entertainment today. right? So instead of teaching us the right way, it was like the whole Trump thing, right? So it was the alt-left versus the alt-right. Let's be honest with the Trump thing, right? So instead of educating people why supporting Trump isn't a good thing, look, the man was in power. He didn't give a shit about people suffering with COVID, and it was his undoing. He probably would have been president again, right? He didn't want to help people, right? He was in denial of it. He was standing on stages. It was wrong. But the way you commentate on this is very important. You have to educate people to be better, to understand why Trump is a wrong un in so many ways. But by throwing hate at Trump's supporters, what happened? What happened was you made them dig in even more. Let me give you an analogy here, an example. When I was a young man, I fell in love with this young woman who was my age. We were working in a supermarket. My parents hated her. What happened? Break up with her. She's not right for you. What did I do? As a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, I moved in with her. And I became indifferent towards my family. But if they sat me down and said, Mick, right, we don't agree with you being with her, but you know, it's your life, because you're young, you dig in. And this is what happens politically. And this is what's happening within the entertainment industry right now. It's becoming so polarizing. We look at, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There's all this kind of talk. Before I saw an episode, I heard this is about racism. This is about black versus white. I watch it and I didn't see that. I saw the racist commentary, but actually it's done in quite a nuanced way, which actually is surprising for entertainment these days. But there's a lot of commentary about racism now, especially in our entertainment. When was the last time you saw someone commentating in a piece of fiction about homelessness, about famine, about the other things, the real things bothering people, poverty, bothering everyday people? You see, identity politics is a wealthy person's kind of bone of contention, right? And the format of identity politics is to say everyone in that group is the same. So we keep on saying this term, paraphrasing, the LGBTQ plus community, like they're a community, like they're all the same. They're not. They're individual. I treat people individually, not on their gender, not on how they identify as. And if how you identify as is important to you, that's great. That's your truth. Keep it there. I respect you. And I will identify you the way you want me to identify you. But you've got to also understand that I'm 48 years old. I come from a generation that didn't look at things like that. So it's difficult, but I will never disrespect any way that people want to be addressed or identified as. That is your right as an individual. But I don't care about how you identify as. That's not how I'm going to value you. You know how I'm going to value you? No matter what color you are, how you want to represent yourself or identify yourself as, I see you as an individual. When I talk to you, everything else goes away. It's about you. It's what you've got in here. It's what you've got to say. That's it. Not what you look like, not what you identify as. That is it. That's how I see people. But entertainment and the people running entertainment now don't get it. Oh, look, we have a member of the LGBTQ community playing a superhero. Aren't we good? We're doing you a favour. We're representing you. You're not doing them a favour. You should be representing them without saying you're representing them. Them being there is the whole point, and giving them something awesome to do and treating them like you would treat a straight white character is the way you should be doing it. You don't say, I've just represented a straight white male. No, because we've always been represented. But the point is, you put someone in front of the camera, they're there already, and you give them a great character to play and a great story. That's good representation, and it's not happening today, everyone. Jodie Whittaker being cast as the Doctor is really polarizing for many people. There are some idiots out there who don't believe the Doctor should be a female. Never about that for me and millions of Doctor Who fans. The problem is with Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who, Jodie Whittaker doesn't seem to really care about the part. She doesn't seem to have put her lifeblood into it. and she was the wrong female to cast in the first place. And that goes down to Chris Chibnall. He had hundreds and thousands of female actors he could have cast in this role to be the first female Doctor. Put her in front of the camera and get her to be awesome and to be an awesome Doctor. But instead, we had an actor, a female actor, when she was cast, say, "Men, don't be afraid of women." What's all that about? Where's your opinion about the character? How are you going to play this character? You didn't care because it wasn't about that. You were meeting hatred with hatred. And look at what's happened now. The show creatively is bankrupt, although season 12 was certainly an interesting arc. And I won't reject The Timeless Child, even though I know the political reasons why Chibnall did it. He doesn't seem to have the qualities to run Doctor Who. And he's a very talented man. He did a great job on Torchwood. He did a great job on season 1 of Broadchurch. The other seasons are pants, but season 1 was one of the best things I've ever seen. But we are now, even if you go back to season 3 of Doctor Who, and I forgot the name of the episode. It's when the Doctor becomes human. He's running away, blah, blah, blah. It's based on a famous kind of book. It's Chris Cornell. That's it. Chris Cornell's two-parter, right? And I forgot what it's called. One of my favourite stories. But when I look back at that story now, what he does is he turns John Smith into a beta male and he makes the Doctor into an alpha, a toxic male. That's the commentary he's making in that. What's it called? I forgot what the two-parter's called. You know what I'm talking about anyway, anyone who watches Doctor Who. So now you see through it all. And it's a shame. This is the man who multiple blocked a bunch of people, including me, because we have issues with current Doctor Who. And as I've already said, my issues with current Doctor Who, and you do not legitimately go around saying, I'm angry because a woman's playing the Doctor. No. I'm angry that the wrong woman's playing the Doctor. I'm angry that the show is creatively bankrupt, right? And this is what's so ironic and hypocritical about entertainment right now, right? He cast Ryan, a character of colour, played by an actor of colour, right? And he left him in the background, and then he did nothing with him, and he's got rid of him. And who has he replaced him with? A white actor who's a comedian. Now, that actor is very talented and is there on merit. Don't get me wrong, I have no issue with that. But these people go around acting like they care about representation. Chibnall brings in a character like Ryan and does nothing with him and gets rid of him. It's a disgrace. It means they're not interested in equality and representation. It's just a political move to these people. These are just political animals. They don't care about entertainment and representation and putting it together and doing it in a constructive way. They just care about their aggressive point scoring. And this is what the entertainment industry has become now, everyone. And at first I was very frustrated and angry about it. But now I see it for what it is. It's an era. These people are leading this beautiful industry into bankruptcy. More and more TV shows because they're watered down and they're just interested in political point scoring and not being successful. In streaming, they can hide the success of these shows and just give them season after season because people are still paying their subscriptions. But we're already seeing that Netflix is losing subscribers and the rest are losing subscribers as well because it's the same old thing. Like, we've just cast another strong female in another strong female role again and again. And when they do have a male lead, basically, it's not really a male lead. The male's there and it's all about the female character, right? We have seen Phoebe Waller-Bridge cast in Indiana Jones 5. She rewrote A No Time to Die, the next Bond movie that I've already seen. Not many of you, or none of you have seen that film. I saw that film, can't discuss it. NDAs, I cannot talk about that film, but we will talk about it. And that film will be examined and examined and examined because it's part of an iconic legacy. Now, is the legacy of James Bond perfect? No. Has it sexualized women in the past? Yes. Was that wrong? Sometimes yes. And we can do better than that but not by having a feminist rewrite a James Bond film who is not interested in positive role models for women or making Bond a bit better, still making him awesome and alpha male, but making him behave better towards women, right? And not having women being used as sexual objects. She's not really interested in that. She's interested in meeting hatred with hatred. All these people are. So while you do that, you're polarizing your audience because they know who their audience is. It's us, and they're trying to send a point to us. But unlike Russell T Davies, with what he did with Captain Jack and the Ninth Doctor, right, and what he did with Mickey Smith, a character of colour. This is the polarising thing here. We have Mickey Smith, aka Noel Clarke, an actor of colour, a character of colour in Doctor Who. This guy had an evolution in the show and he was great. But then you get Ryan in Doctor Who, who's in the background and has nothing done. He had a condition, Ryan's character in Doctor Who. Chibnall gave him this condition where he couldn't ride a bike. He can't. Is it dyspraxia? I don't know the exact kind of symptoms of the condition, but it's hard to ride a bike. It's difficult to do things. And he kind of focused on this a couple of times, but mostly within the series, it was like forgotten about. It was despicable because these people are not interested in real commentary. It wasn't genuine. But with Noel Clarke's Mickey Smith in Doctor Who, we actually saw this guy 1 minute in the pilot. He goes to his girlfriend, don't look at my emails. He's a very selfish boyfriend. But then we get to know him and he evolves as a character and he becomes a hero himself. It's beautiful. What a great representation for an actor of colour. Noel Clarke has gone on to be a great director, writer, actor because his heart's in the right place. I mean, he bores on about racism like a lot of these people in Hollywood entertainment do today, but at least he's got the stuff in there to be an entertainer, to write. And so we look at Phoebe Waller-Bridge. We saw that she did the voice for that KSO-2 or whatever that robot was in Solo: A Star Wars Story. She's in Indiana Jones. She's rewrote James Bond, but she is an ideologue. She's a feminist. She's talented, but why is she in the entertainment industry? To entertain or for other reasons? Probably for other reasons. That's the thing. But she is talented, right? And you will see for yourselves what's happened with the new Bond film. We know what's going on. It's this. They don't understand how to educate the world. I don't even believe these people want to make a better world or want to educate people. These people, these nut jobs are now in our entertainment industry, our once beautiful industry that created films like Gone with the Wind. One of the biggest, strongest performances by a female actor playing a strong female. But they don't like that film because obviously it has certain bad representations in it. But never forget that Vivien Leigh was a woman, a strong woman in her own right, and she played a strong woman who had this evolution within an epic movie. But they don't want to talk about that. It doesn't suit their agenda. They pretend that women of the past were all represented badly when they wasn't. I can give you hundreds of examples of me growing up watching strong females on my television, in my cinema. Juliet Parrish from the V sci-fi alien invasion story. Diana from V. Alexis from Dynasty. Abby Ewing from Knots Landing. You probably don't even know who I'm talking about. I can give you more and more examples. But they tell you these people wasn't represented properly, right? There's actors of colour from the 60s who were represented in the right way. Not all of them, but they're there. But they don't want to talk about that. So they want revenge. They don't want equality. They don't want fairness. They want to meet hatred with hatred. And as long as the entertainment industry is like this, we're going to have to pick and choose. You will find a good nugget now and again from this industry being made. But mostly, this is where we are now, meeting hatred with hatred. So luckily for me, and luckily for you, we all have our little collections of our films we grew up with. We can keep on watching them, buy them on hard copy so they can't alter them on the streaming services and cut this out and cut that out. Because they do. They even speed stuff out on streaming. They did on Now TV with Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. Disgusting, right? Glad I bought it on Prime Video. Can't wait to have physical, listen, physical media for me is where it's still at. And by the way, just to talk about entertainment, because I just saw Christopher Maloney return as Stabler in Law and Order, in this new Law and Order, and I forgot the title of it. I forget everything, don't I? This is fantastic. It's awesome. It's got a great premise. You've got Dylan McDermott as this mafia boss. You've got to see it. Brilliant. Broadcast TV proves broadcast not dead. So support it if you like Chris Maloney. He was great in Man of Steel, by the way. And it's great to have Stabler back. So it's not, all is not lost. There are still some people who care about entertainment and acting and great storytelling. Unfortunately, there's not many left. Before we move on about entertainment today, you know what's worse than what's going on in this industry and the polarizing opinions is the people taking advantage of those opinions. People like the Fandom Menace. They are the absolute worst. And I do watch them, and I do watch Doomcock. Doomcock is hilarious. But I don't sit there, even though I kind of nod my head sometimes when they're talking, I realise they're trying to take advantage of me. They're trying to take advantage of you. They're trying to take advantage of the divide, of the polarisation, of the crazy stuff going on in Hollywood right now and the full entertainment industry. They are not our friends, but they're making money off of us. And that's what they want to do. They've even admitted it. It's winning for them. I can't stop that, but they are actually even worse than what's going on within the entertainment industry because they are profiting from hatred. Anyway, let's move on and talk about my favourite fictional character in fiction, of course, in comic books, everything, Superman. So in a minute, we're going to talk about Tom Taylor's new Superman book, which I'm really excited about. He teased us a couple of days ago, big news was coming, and it was announced yesterday. But I want to read a pinned tweet from Tom Taylor because I think this is great. Now, he is quote tweeting this from Geek Tyrant. Warner Brothers reportedly doesn't think that a standalone Superman movie would be successful right now. That was on the 14th of June, 2020, nearly a year ago. So this is what Tom Taylor said, and I think it's great. A child whose world is lost when ignorant politicians reject science. A refugee embraced by America who uses his powers to help everyone on Earth. A man who can be anything, who chooses to be a journalist for truth and justice. This is the time for Superman. Yes, Tom. Yes, Tom. I'll read any fucking comic book you write, mate. That is sensational. That is amazing. This is the time for Superman. But I'll go further. Every time is the time for Superman. You will never outgrow Superman because what he stands for is important. And as much as I love MOS and BVS, this is why a lot of people were triggered by those films. Because the messages that Superman puts out since his inception in 1938 are so important. So anyway, and by the way, again, for the pie eaters at the back, I love MOS and BVS. I'm just trying to explain to you why people were a bit triggered by those films. Anyway, so big news. Let's go to this because this is exciting. So this is from the Hollywood Reporter, and this is news of Tom Taylor's brand new Superman book. So DC unveils new Man of Steel with Superman, Son of Kal-El series, exclusive. This summer will also see Supergirl pursue a murderous fugitive across the galaxy in a cosmic bus, and Clark Kent furthering his fight to liberate Warworld. Anyway, this July, a new but familiar Man of Steel will be entrusted to protect our planet. On July 13th, Superman, Son of Kal-El will debut to replace the current Superman monthly title written by Tom Taylor, Nightwing, Deceased, Suicide Squad, with art by John Timms, Young Justice, Harley Quinn. The new ongoing monthly series will feature Jonathan Kent protecting the Earth as the new Man of Steel. Now, everyone's getting a bit confused with the Superman and Lois show. So in the Superman and Lois show at the moment, Jonathan Kent hasn't got powers. But he has really. But in the comics, he has. Anyway, that's right. I think I've got that right? Comment down below if I've got that wrong. But I think I've got that right. So don't get confused. As Clark Kent continues his fight to liberate World, both on the front lines and with a new team of covert operatives, the new series will follow the son of Superman as he begins his next chapter. Jonathan Kent is well suited for the task of wearing his father's cape. Having fought evil with Robin, Damian Wayne travelled across galaxies with his Kryptonian grandfather and lived in the future with the Legion of Superheroes. Wow! Who were intent on training John for the day his father could no longer be Superman. There is a hole in the Legion's history that prevents John from knowing exactly when that will happen, but all signs point to it being very soon. Alongside Jonathan Kent's new series, DC also exclusively revealed further changes and new stories coming up for the Superman family, including arriving July the 20th, issue number 2 of this 8-issue limited series by Tom King, Batman, Catwoman, Mr. Miracle, and artist Blix Evely, the Dreaming Wonder Woman, continues Kara Zor-El's journey of self-discovery and emergence from the shadow of her famous cousin. God, they can't help themselves, can they? Just accept that Superman's her cousin, right? He's not overshadowing her. We know it. You don't have to keep on telling us that. Supergirl, Krypto, and their new friend Rufy find themselves stranded with no way to pursue Krem, the murderous King's agent. Each moment this fugitive roams free. The more begins come dangerously close to dying by his hand. There is no time to lose, so our heroes must now travel across the universe, the old-fashioned way by cosmic bus. Little do they know their journey will be a dark one, filled with terrors that not even the Maid of Might is prepared to face. The Maid of Might. Right, okay. Whatever. That's her name, innit? But I don't like it. Anyway, so that's very exciting. We're getting a brand new Superman from Tom Taylor, and it's Jonathan Kent, which I think is good, and I think a new generation of fans can really enjoy it. So, in comics, Superman is everywhere. In films, Superman is nowhere, and all of a sudden, a Superman TV series is very, very popular. We've already seen the ratings drop as Supergirl has taken Superman and Lois's place, proof that Superman and Lois is very successful. And again, because a show took this polarizing kind of narrative choice and didn't do a proper show and didn't give the character the potential she deserved, it's a flop. It's a disaster and it's an embarrassment. But these people gave it 6 seasons and pretended it's got fans and everything. It's got a few fans, but it's not a popular show. It's a joke because they made it into a joke. Anyway, that's the next question I want to ask on today's Big Mouth Daily. Where is Superman in live action? Apart from Superman and Lois, by the way. What have they done with him? Well, I think what Tom Taylor there said kind of sums it all up perfectly. But what he was quote tweeting sums it all up, that they don't think a Superman movie will be successful right now. How utterly fucking lazy. Now, we know that J.J. Abrams is producing and developing with Ta-Nehisi Coates a Superman movie. Is it Kal-El? We don't know yet. Could be another version of Superman. We will soon find out eventually. But since 2017, we haven't seen Kal-El's Superman on the big screen, and that's just utterly disappointing and disrespectful and crazy for people who think and talk about the business of making money, of making great movies. What evidence do they have that a Kal-El Superman movie wouldn't be successful? It's crazy, and they always speak through journalists. They're so gutless, they're so tone deaf, right? These people do not deserve to have the IP of Superman, and we already know that. But they do own the IP of Superman because no one can take it from them. It's like they don't want to do anything with it, kind of compellingly, but they don't actually want anyone else to do anything with it. So they'll just hold on to it tightly till the right time, till they can make 2, 3, 4 billion out of it or something ridiculous like that. Superman's time, as Tom Taylor says, is always here, always now. He's always relevant, and millions of people around the world, millions, love this character. So you can keep on saying he's too boring, people don't identify with him. How is it that a young man who was born in the UK and raised in the UK but had Greek Cypriot parents looked up to that character and related to him? I love the fact he had powers. I love the fact that when he was young, he lived on a farm, that he felt like an outsider. I identified with that. Millions of people identify with Superman. And putting the propaganda out there that people don't identify with him, or he's your granddad's superhero, is utter nonsense. So we'll see what Ta-Nehisi Coates actually does with him, if this thing even actually happens. And who knows what's going on with Henry Cavill's Superman, if anything. But I think it's an absolute crime. I think it's outrageous. And still we sit here wondering what Superman's future is on the big screen. And that's not fair. Let's talk about the Flash movie, because I think this is going to be one of the most historic talked about movies in motion picture history. Never can I remember in motion picture history a film being so important to a franchise, where a film's going to be used to kind of construct, and this is not my opinion, but correct what's gone before. I'm not saying the DCEU needs correcting, but I think some ways it does, by the way, when you think of Birds of Prey. But anyway, I've never seen anything like this in a franchise. I've kind of seen it done in TV shows before, but to have a film that's actually going to change the direction of a film franchise and actually do something that changes certain parts being played by different actors, bringing in new versions of these characters, older versions that we saw 20, 30 years ago. So the Flash is massive. Now, I did a little mini edition yesterday of the Big Mouth Daily talking about Michael Keaton playing Kingdom Come Batman, and having the whole thing of him training a young man to be Batman. So I think that's the first thing I want to predict about the Flash movie, is that Batman, Michael Keaton, will be Kingdom Come Batman, but there's going to be a difference here. He's training up Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, instead of the other character whose name escapes me, even though I was talking about him on a video yesterday. That's how I am with names and places and memories, basically. Anyway, so I think he's going to train up Barbara Gordon. So I think that's going to be the new kind of Bat family representative in the new Justice League. Unless they keep it. Now, this is one of the variables, of course, because we were also told, Grace Randolph told us this months ago, that they were going the whole Batman Beyond route, but instead of the lad, they were going with Barbara Gordon, the Batgirl, and that's who Michael Keaton's going to train, and he was going to come back to the DCEU Earth 1, and he was going to be the new Batman, and somehow through Flashpoint, Affleck's Batman is going to vanish, right? So my prediction is either they're going down the Keaton route with training this young Batgirl, or they're going to continue with Affleck and he'll train Barbara Gordon. But it does look like the Michael Keaton thing, that there's a future there with it, and there is a plan there. And so first of all, what do I think about this? This will polarize a lot of people, that they're swapping Keaton for Affleck, that they're training Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Batgirl, instead of the young man. That is it Roy? It's something McGinnis in it. I forgot his first name. So Terry McGinnis, that's it. I think it's Terry McGinnis. So instead of Terry McGinnis, it's actually Barbara Gordon's Batgirl that's being trained here. So people are going to be triggered about that. I'm not. It's about time Batgirl entered the DCEU, and this is a really good idea. Of course it's being done because she's a girl, and, this is the era we're in. I understand that. But I think it's a good idea. We want to see Batgirl being trained up by Michael Keaton's Batman, don't we? Isn't that awesome? I know a lot of you are going to be triggered because we maybe won't have any Batfleck after this, but I'm okay with it, and that's exciting. And so I think that whole idea and what they're planning with Michael Keaton's Kingdom Come Batman is awesome. And the Batman Beyond thing, and maybe they'll make Batman Beyond movies as well. I don't know. There's obviously a plan there. It's an exciting plan. And but before we see this stuff in live action, it's hard to judge. But as a concept, I like the idea of Michael Keaton's Kingdom Come Batman training up Batgirl. Did I say Batwoman? Anyway, it's Batgirl, so Barbara Gordon. So I'm interested in that, especially if they go the full, if they go fully kind of with Barbara Gordon and everything that happens to her in the graphic novels, that would be awesome. So I think we start the film basically like we do the Flashpoint movie. He's based Barry Allen, the Flash. He's working with the Justice League. Look, they're established. Whether they're focusing on Justice League canon or Zack Snyder's canon, of course it matters. Let's say they're focusing on Justice League. There's still been a Justice League movie. They still, beat Steppenwolf. The basics are there, so it doesn't really matter, right, in terms of the film and what it does for the franchise. So I expect a fully established relationship with the Justice League. The Ray Fisher situation is getting worse and worse because Ray's making it more and more toxic, I'm afraid, because Ray doesn't really want to play Cyborg again. It's just talk to keep us geeks on the hook. All he cares is about his political speech. You're racist, you're racist, you're racist. Everyone's racist. That's all Ray wants to talk about, right? So basically, I'm kind of done with Ray and bored of Ray. So, between you and me, I think they've already recast Cyborg. So that's what I think. So there will be a Cyborg in this. It won't be the Cyborg we know and love, because I do know and love Ray's Cyborg. But unfortunately, Ray's put himself and he's put the fans in a position where we can't win over that anymore because he just can't keep his mouth shut. I think when you want to make a point, you say it once, maybe twice, maybe thrice, but you don't say it again and again and again. So we've got an established Justice League like we did at the end of the Justice League movie. He's fighting with them in the graphic novel, in the animated movie. They're fighting, I think, Reverse Flash, and the Reverse Flash has actually got together the Rogues Gallery, the Flash's Rogues Gallery. So he's basically, the Flash is fighting all of them, and I think some of the Justice League. I don't think they're all there at the beginning, I can't remember, but I think that Batman's certainly helping him, and I think Superman shows up as well. So it'll be interesting what they do with that. So there are members of the Justice League there. So he's part of the Justice League at the beginning. He's got a relationship with Batman. Batfleck's his mentor. And for some reason, he decides to change history and bring his mum back to life. So I think he does that. And I think that's going to be the structure of the beginning. And obviously, Iris is there. I don't know if they are together in this film or if they're going to do a little origin for their love story. Now, this is interesting. I think one of the reasons why the future DCEU won't use the Snyder Cut as canon, because the Snyder Cut, what it does with the Iris and Barry thing, it doesn't say that they grew up together. It doesn't mention Joe West, or it's obvious he doesn't know Joe West that well, like they did in the Flash TV show. Not sure about their history. The character, is Joe West actually a creation of the show? Was Joe West in the comics? I don't know the comics so well, so comment down below and let me know. Anyway, so there's no Joe West and all of that kind of jazz, and Iris is just they've just met for the first time when she walks past the pet shop when he's going for the job interview. My prediction for Flash is that they're going to change everything about this. Basically, this is why it's Justice League canon, but I think they're going to change it I think they're going to go down similar lines as the TV show. So I think in this version, Kiersey Clements, Iris, may have even known Barry for a long time, and that wouldn't have been their first meeting. And I think they may change it like that, which will be very controversial for the Snyderverse fandom. I'm a Snyderverse fan. It won't be controversial to me. I didn't really like the idea that they'd only just met. It's great to see her for the first time. That's awesome. And the way they did it with the song and the slow-mo was beautiful. But I like my Barry and Iris to have a big history. So, and that's just my opinion. So I think maybe they'll change the history of their relationship. So I think the opening of the movie basically will be him being at the grave, like in the Flashpoint movie and comic, starting to think about his mum, because as a young boy, he saw his mum die. And so I think that's what's going to guide him to do what he does. And then basically he creates this new universe. He changes the past, saves his mum's life, but everything's changed. And that's when he meets Keaton's Kingdom Come Batman. He seems to be in this universe as well. So is this Keaton's Batman? Well, yes. He is Keaton's Batman, but he's still another version to Keaton's Batman. Do you understand? Because what's going on here is this new universe has formed its own characters, if you like. It's basically that's the situation. And so even though he's Keaton's Batman, this is a new universe that Barry's created. And so it's not Keaton's Batman from the 89 movie, but it also is. It's a bit hard to explain to you what I mean. This is a new universe, so it can't be exactly that unless he's materialized in this new universe and it is the same one. We're going to have to wait for the movie. I've kind of confused the whole situation, but you know what I mean anyway. So he meets him and he'll have the same relationship he would have had with a Thomas Wayne Batman. I'm sure about that. So there's going to be this mentor thing. Barry's going to try and, because he hasn't got his Flash abilities in this new universe. And so in the comic book, in the animated movie, they literally electrocute him when it's raining and thundering to get his powers back. And basically, Thomas Wayne in the comics and in the animated movie, he thinks he's fucking insane, which you would. But he does this, he damages himself. It's really physical stuff. Again, we've been told this is not the copy. This film is not a copy and paste of pasting of Flashpoint. It's not even called Flashpoint. That's interesting as well, unless they haven't officially titled the movie yet, which would be odd. I mean, The Flash could be just a filming, a producing name for it, and they could change it. Who knows? I doubt it, but I'm interested what they call the film finally. So, excuse me. And so that's how I see the film working at to that point. Now, how are they going to do other things like the Atlantean Amazonian War? Will they have it? Will it be in the background? That's interesting. Is Momoa going to be involved in this film? Is Gadget going to be involved in this film? They are contractually obliged, right, to be in these films, in these DC films. So they're signed up. They sign their lives away. If they want them in this film, they will be. Also, don't think you know everyone who's going to be in this film. Basically, they haven't even announced all the cast. I think there's going to be a lot of surprise. Well, we know. Listen, we know. We are going to see Nicolas Cage's Superman. I'm sure of it. I'm very sure we're going to see Henry Cavill's Superman and some of the other DCEU characters, but it goes beyond that. We're going to see Tom Welling's Superman. I'm hoping for Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor. He may even be a permanent fixture within the DCEU. They are talking about realigning everything that's gone past and present, all these characters we've seen in films and TV, and unifying these characters in one universe. So it's a very ambitious take. So expect to see loads of cameos from different versions. That will be exciting. But the Flashpoint story on its own is exciting enough. But they're actually using it to change this universe so it makes a little bit more sense. Because since Snyder's gone, they brought other directors in. It's been standalone. But they haven't really contradicted too much of what Zack did. Yes, James Wan's Aquaman contradicts the Snyder Cut. But the Snyder Cut wasn't a thing then. So they had to make the film. They promised the audience an Aquaman movie, and James did what he wanted to do with it. And that was important. And Walter Hamada came in and gave him a helping hand. That was his first movie. Everyone says, no, he had nothing to do with Aquaman. Yes, Walter Hamada came in as Aquaman was shooting. He came in as they were planning to start shooting Aquaman. So Walter Hamada kind of steadied the ship within the DCEU, if you like it or not. So this film, the Flash movie, is supposed to realign the franchise. So it makes sense, so it's more accessible to a mainstream audience. So from a business standpoint, this is a big film. This is an important film. This is why you got the big thing on Instagram and Warner Brothers was showing off with the Flash logo, because it's massive. It's important. Now, I'm going to read an article, and this is the final thing we're going to do today. I actually had about 20 articles to read to you, but we're actually on the 50-minute mark. So apologies about that. But yes, this is going on my subject from the Flash movie. The Flash is already making a big Barry Allen change post-Snyderverse. After appearing in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Ezra Miller's Barry Allen is getting a massive DCEU change done to his powers in the Flash movie by Andy, whose surname I can't pronounce. After appearing in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Ezra Miller's Barry Allen is getting significantly changed in the Flash movie since 2014. The Flash film has been one of the most anticipated DC movies in the original Warner Brothers slate. But after several years, Miller's solo project is officially getting closer to becoming a reality, as Andy Muschietti is helming the Flash. While Miller's Flash appeared in Justice League's theatrical version, fans also got to see Snyder's original plans for the Scarlet Speedster in the HBO Max cut. However, while Snyder had ideas for a Justice League trilogy, the Snyderverse is not continuing as Warner Brothers moves on in a new directions. While Zack Snyder's Justice League served as a solid platform for The Flash, Miller's movie is already making noticeable change to Barry after the Snyder Cut. Machete revealed the principal photography is officially underway this month, showing a flashy video announcement featuring the Flash's movie logo. But the promo is alluding to Barry's power getting retooled visually from the Snyder Cut. Precisely Flash's lightning colour. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, Barry's original speed colour was blue, which has various meanings in the comics. But in Machete's The Flash announcement, his lightning colour was changed to yellow. I'll explain to you why that is. And it's nothing about disrespecting the Snyderverse. Foreshadowing a potential evolution is foreshadowing something, but not an evolution. In both versions of Justice League, the Flash always generated blue lightning whenever he was running. There are multiple ways to interpret what the Flash might be doing after Zack Snyder's Justice League. Since the Snyder Cut was never part of the DCEU, it makes sense if Machete has different ideas about how he wants Barry to look when using his super speed. While Joss Whedon's Justice League cut is technically canon to the DCEU, changing Barry's colour from blue to yellow is another way to separate the Flash from the controversial 2017 movie. In the comics, a speedster with blue lightning means they have tapped more into the Speed Force, making them faster. Whether or not it is relevant for the DCEU is unclear, as the change from blue to yellow could have a newly invented meaning. By the way, this Barry Allen we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and especially in Justice League, hasn't got much experience and wouldn't have tapped into the Speed Force that much. So it makes sense that he doesn't have the blue lightning. Let me be clear, I don't give a shit what colour the Flash's lightning is. It makes little difference to me, but to a lot of people, it makes a big difference because it gives them an excuse to be bitchy and negative, right? Since the DCEU has barely explored the Speed Force, the Flash will have an opportunity to flesh out and do a unique take on it. While Grant Gustin's Flash has always had yellow lightning, this will be a way for the Flash movie to do something the Arrowverse has not done. The transition from blue to yellow could in the DCU have a symbolic meaning to demonstrate emotional progression for Barry at the core. Miller's movie is a story about Barry dealing with his traumatic past of seeing his mother murdered when he was a kid. While The Flash will involve time travel and multiverse, Barry's primary arc is about overcoming his past and making his own future. If not from an emotional spectrum, the evolution from blue to yellow can also indicate that the DCEU's Flash is getting increasingly powerful due to Barry's speed colour canonically being yellow in the comics. It is logical for the Flash movie to incorporate that as his franchise is getting established. Since the Snyderverse is not going forward, it always felt inevitable for the Flash to make this sort of change. The movie also evolves Barry's heroic look as he gets a new supersuit made by Batman. While Zack Snyder's Justice League was a perfect start for Barry Allen, the Flash film will get to tackle the Scarlet Speedster differently, including his lightning colour. So some people hearing that Bruce Wayne Batman's going to make him a costume is kind of, I suppose, a rip-off of what they're doing in the MCU. This is what they're attempting to do in the MCU. This is what they're attempting to do in the DCEU because they've seen it work. But it's very important to understand that the relationship between Stark and Spider-Man Peter Parker has been criticised a lot. The only reason for that, well, there's two reasons. Because every enemy is motivated by Stark, not by the Spider-Man, right? And another thing, he's kind of a replacement for Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben is like Jonathan Kent to Clark Kent, so important to his development. And by cutting that character out and replacing him with Stark, people have become very, very angry. But here's the thing. Batman hasn't got anyone to replace in Barry's life. Again, I don't know if Joe West is canon in the comics. Again, let me know, please. Because I think he's a great mentor in the TV series and played by a wonderful theatrically trained actor as well. So it's not that controversial to do that within the DCEU. But there's nothing wrong with Batman being a mentor to Barry Allen, a.k.a. The Flash. So I've talked about what I think I think this film will start and what the middle bit will be. I think there's things to see there. I think loads of cameos, but The ending is going to be very interesting because this is when the universe will be rebooted. So I think we might have a little bit of a cliffhanger, seeing they might pan the camera around to show us space and the new multiverse and how the new Earth is. And, you know, we'll see Sasha Calais, Supergirl, we'll see new versions of these characters. If you're a balanced individual and not too, I mean, I love the Snyderverse and I want it restored. But if you understand what they're doing here, I think this is one of the most exciting CBMs that we've got to look forward to. Now, if you want to tear it down and you don't want it to happen because you're so intoxicated with the Snyderverse, then obviously you're going to be triggered by what I'm saying. But as I said earlier on in the video, this is what social media is all about, I'm afraid. One person's fruit is another man's poison, and another man's ecstasy is another man's pain. Unfortunately, that's the way it's like. And of course, I'm not just talking about men, women, however you identify, you are welcome on this channel. Because as I say, I treat people on an individual basis. I don't stereotype a group of people. And I believe this kind of era, this generation, treating everyone and putting them in groups is the most horrible, wrong thing. It used to be that stereotypes were wrong. Now, for some reason, stereotypes are right. Warner Brothers and Jeff Johns got attacked because they didn't want to stereotype Ray Fisher, a black man, and his black cyborg. They didn't want to give him bad stereotypes, and Ray Fisher saw that as racist. So we see how the kind of the roundabout keeps on moving around and changing the rules. So we can only try and evolve and be better. I believe I am a constructive person and I'm evolving. I've told you my background. I told you how I was brought up. And I think thanks to television and commentary in television and film, I've learned to be better. So I would never say don't do this stuff in television and film, but learn to do it without doing it in a hateful, talky downy, we hate you way if you believe this or believe that. That's my opinion. So anyway, that's how I think The Flash is going to turn out, and I'm very, very excited for it. So comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more Big Mouth Daily. See you again soon. I nearly said the DCEU Daily yet again. I can't believe it. I will get used to it. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.